Hi everyone, it's Mary. Welcome back to the channel. Today I am doing a project with the new Spellbinders clear stamps where using the same stamp sets I am getting two completely different looks. I think that this hopefully will showcase how diverse your stock could be when you kind of change it up a bit. Okay, so I was in a fun, fantastically colorful mood and a fall mood. And so these two cards are going to showcase that. There's the stamp sets from Spellbinders. Spellbinders sent these to me to play with, and I had a ton of fun. Right now I'm pulling out some Catherine Puller inks. If you've seen some of my videos, you've seen me rave about Catherine Puller inks. I think they're awesome, but you're probably seeing the same colors over and over again because I only have a very small collection, which is telling me that I need to diversify my videos and buy more, right? Is that the justification? Help me out, people. So right now I am going to do some masking. I've stamped out a couple of my images, and in a little bit I'm going to pull in Aquatini because I think that those three colors just complement and go beautifully together. But I'm using some full stick-it post-it notes here to mask out my hearts. And I'm going to end up using a few more masks because I want this to kind of go a little thicker at the bottom and then cascade upwards. I love the way that that looks. I think that was a lot of fun to do. And so you can just kind of see me running through here, masking off and then stamping. Now, as you've probably heard before, when you're doing an image like this, it's not as important to be deliberate with where you're stamping them. But if you'll notice, I first stamped 3 of the hearts out because if I were to just stamp one, mask it, stamp, mask, stamp, then all of the images would fall behind one another because whatever you want in the forefront, you are going to stamp first. So the reason I stamped out 3 in the beginning was to kind of make it a little bit less, I don't say symmetrical, but just kind of where they don't keep falling behind one another, if that makes any sense at all. Okay, so I am done with the stamping. I like the way this looks. This makes me happy. And so then I'm going to take out some Midnight ink from Catherine Puller. I have the Midnight and the black. Oh, what is it called? I don't recall what it's called, but it's like a grayish black. Midnight's awesome. It is really, really crisp, and see, it just stamps right over that image just beautifully. I had some really sparkly purple cardstock in my stash, so I pulled this out, and as I'm cutting this up, Adia walked over and said, "Whoa, that's the color." So she calls these 3 colors her friendship colors, which I think is adorable. She has a best friend that we unfortunately left in Florida, and these are their friendship colors. So they made bracelets with it, and whenever I do anything card related with those colors, she is just over the moon about it. So it's really adorable. So I'm using some really strong score tape here because I'm going to be putting this on glitter cardstock. I want really strong tape. And so I'm going to lay that at the 4 sides and then down the middle. And you can see Adia's hand popping in there. This is right before school, actually. So I lay that down onto the cardstock. Normally, I will cut out the center of this glitter cardstock so I can keep it for another project. But I forgot. I was distracted. So I couldn't go back and do it. So I had to just suck it up. All right, here I've pulled out some Neat and Tangled Magic Sparkling. I think these are called like Magic. And they are iridescent and they pick up the colors around them. So I decided to just go wild with the sequins all over. Sequins placement can be tricky, or you can just throw them all over your card and hope for the best. And that's what happened here today. So I just had fun with it. And I love that they're different sizes because it breaks up the aesthetics of it. And so I'm good with that. Sometimes I want to put, 2 or 3 here, or, oh, sorry, never 2. There's rules of 3 that I have to abide by. Never 2. But I put 3 or 5. Odd numbers. I don't quite understand it. It looks good, so somebody's right. But yeah, I don't know. Okay, so here is the finished card here, a little close-up of that. And I did not count my sequins on this, so if it's odd number, even number, I'm not sure, but I do like the way it came out. Okay, moving on to the second card, the very, very different card from the first. So I think when I started stamping this out in Versamark ink, this one feather stamp. I think I was trying to do a circle, but then I got to this point and I was like, this could quite possibly look like a turkey. So I heat embossed first with this liquid platinum color, and I heat set that, and I love the way that that came out. I thought that was really just perfect, you know, especially against that burnt orangey type cardstock. And then I went back in and I stamped again over it, and this time I used some gold embossing powder. So I have like a liquid platinum and a gold. It's two different colors, but they're very similar. And so I got that done, and then I found this stamp in the set, which says "Just for You." I stamped that out on some brown cardstock with some glittery gold. And so I'm using variances of gold or bronze for this embossing, so it kind of all comes together. So I hand cut this out just around the wreath, because now this is going to go at the front of that, almost like the turkey's head or body. I don't know. If it looks nothing like a turkey, I do apologize, but this is what was going on in my brain noggin. So on the back of the panel here, I thought this was way too plain. I do clean and simple sometimes, but I don't do plain and boring. So right here, I took out one of the, almost like, what is that? Like the, they're not coconuts. What the heck are those things called? They're nuts. From like squirrel nuts. I don't know. If you know what the name of those nuts are, kudos to you, comment below. But I am going to stamp those all over in Versamark just to get like a watermark image. Here, I've taken another piece of cardstock, and this is going to be the panel that I lay my panel on top of. And so I am using that liquid platinum to just heat set the outsides. And this will be almost as if this was the cardstock underneath, but you can't see it all, so it worked out. But I like how it ties in the embossing from the front of the card to the back of the card. So it's going to be, it's matte. And so I get that all done, and here you can see it's just laying on top. You only see a tiny bit of it, but I'm going to add a little bit, one more kind of rustic look to the front of this panel, and that's just me doing that spongy flicking technique with some ground espresso distress oxides. I am then going to pop that up on foam tape and lay that on top of my project here, on top of my embossed panel. So I get that done, and then I'm going to go back in and use again some Nuvo glue and just placing down my dots of glue. That's how I like to do it when I'm going to be putting a lot on, and it just makes it very easy. So this is a neat and tangled sequins mix. Say that 10 times fast. And I am going to be using it because it has a bunch of different fall beautiful colors. There's browns, there's orange, gold, and so it really does match this themed card that I'm doing. So I'm using my jewel picker there to get those up. And then in the inside of this card, I'm going to stamp out "For My Wonderful Mother." And I didn't talk much about the sentiment set, but I really like that sentiment set. That has really, it's almost like I think it's called the family set. I'll list everything below what it's actually called. But it lists out, you know, my daughter, aunt, uncle, sister, brother, all kinds of people in the family. And I really love that because you personalize your card. So on the first card, I didn't mention it, but I put "For My Wonderful Sister," my beautiful sister. So that's going to be great. And I have 5 sisters, so I can send it to any one of them. Okay, so here I'm using some Nuvo glue, and I am putting down onto my 110-pound Nina Solar White cardstock. And that is what I use for pretty much all of my bases. I love it. It's sturdy. It gives a very good feel for your card. It's not flimsy. It's very professional feeling, if I can equate it to that, I suppose. So here's the 2 cards finished up. Thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me for this Spellbinders demo on their new clear stamps that are coming out. I would highly recommend you checking out the collection, particularly because of the price point. I really appreciate that they're well priced for stamps. And so if you're a new stamper and you're beginning out, this is definitely a good place to start. So let me know if you have any questions about anything I used. and I will list all that I used below. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss anything from me, and find me on other forums such as Facebook and Instagram, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.